Welcome to my channel. My name is Rune Sommer. This video is all about the Puppet Cube, widely known to be one of the toughest cubes to solve. If you are new to cubing, you may have to look into some basics prior to this video. In this video, I'll go through 3 sections. First, an introduction to the cube. Next, I'll go through the 4 steps of solving the cube. And last, I'll do some example solves and talk about the logic of solving this cube. Puppet Cube is basically a 2x2 cube with an internal 3x3 cube. The corners of the cube, 2x2, represents both the 2x2 and 3x3 cube. There are 9 internal edges of the 3x3 cube inside this cube. You can see 6 of them outside. And you can see some of them inside as well. Green and white. Orange and white. So total of 9 internal edges. There are 8 different blocks in this cube of the 2x2 shape. There are 5 big blocks as like this one. No edges, nothing on this block. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. This one is surrounded by L-shaped blocks. And those L-shaped blocks can be rotated around this center block. I'll come back to that later. When you have to solve the cube can be oriented in 3 different ways, and every algorithm can be used in any of these orientations. When you do an XY move, you have the same orientation. You have edges on the top, right and front, and you can do LY again. You have edges on the top, right and front, and again do the same XY. When you have to solve the cube, you have to go through 4 steps. The first step is to make the cube shaped like a cube. The second step is to make all the colors the right color. The third step is to swap the internal edges, and the 4th step is to flip the edges so the colors are right on the top. This orange yellow should be yellow on the top and not orange on the top. Step 1 in solving the cube is to twist and turn until you find a familiar shape of the cube. When you twist and turn it, you should seek to make a square on the bottom of the cube. Just make any square, and from that you can use very simple algorithm to make a cube shape again. So first, make a square shape of 4 blocks, 3 big blocks and 1 L block, preferably. I'll show you the 7 shapes you should look for when you are trying to make a cube form. I will hold this cube in this orientation with edges on the top, back and the right side. The first shape is called the gun. It's shaped like a gun, and when the gun is aligned on the top and hovering on the right side, you can do R prime, U, R and U. The next shape is called the C shape because it represents a C. When you have the C on top aligned with the back and those 2 big blocks on the right side, you can have this one as well, but the 2 blocks on the right side are L blocks, not big blocks. Seek to have the big blocks on the right side, R prime, U2, R and U. All the algs of these familiar shapes can be seen in my guide below in this video. The next shape is called Y or a line. Somebody see a line between this edge and this edge. When you find this shape, again with the square on the bottom, find this edge, align the bottom arrow with this edge. Then you have to do R prime, U prime and R, and it's a cube again. The next shape to look for is, I call it the hover car. The hover car looks like a little car with two wheels on the bottom. The left side is aligned and the car is hovering above the bottom. When you find the hover car, you have to do L prime, F prime, R prime, U, R, U. The next shape you have to look for could be the Y or the hook. When you have this shape, it looks like a little claw hook that hooks somebody. When you find the shape again with the big block square on the bottom, you align the bottom hook and point it up right. When you find the hook, you have to do D prime, R, U, R prime, D, U2, and now you got the gun, and it's R prime, U, R, U. The two last shapes, it's called +1 and +2 because it has a big plus on the top. This one I don't know what to call, but the bottom is no longer a square. It's almost a square, but this one is different. But when you find this kind of plus sign in the middle, you have to align the top and the bottom. The left side is hovering above the ground. You have to do R prime, U prime, R and U. The second plus is called, I don't know what it's called. I don't know what the shape should look like. Windmill maybe. But you have again this big plus on the front, and again this bottom is not a total square but almost a square. You have to look for those plus signs. In this shape, you have to align the left side. Not like this, not like this, but you have to align the left side with the blocks. The algorithm is R, U, R prime, U2. Step 2 of solving this cube is to align the colors by swap or rotate the L blocks around this center block, or switch L blocks on the back side and left side. When you have to rotate the L blocks around this center block, you have to use the algorithm in the video. Now you have to do the same algorithm once more. Now I have rotated this L blocks. And now the blocks are in place. You can also swap the two tops, the two L corners on the front, on the top side of the cube. When you have to swap the L blocks on the top, you have to use this algorithm. Now I have switched the two top L blocks. This one is still in place. I will switch them back. If you have to swap two big blocks on the left side or on the back side, you have to hold the cube in this position, orientation. Big blocks on front and big blocks on left and bottom. When you switch two blocks, you switch those two on the front. The algorithm goes like this. have now switched those two blocks. I can switch those two blocks if I want to, just by rotating the cube, by holding my finger on the center block and the opposite side. Now this one is swapped. Now this one can be swapped. I will swap those two back. Step 3 of solving the Puppet cube is to switch or cycle the internal 3x3 edges around the cube, so the matching colors corresponds to the outside 2x2 colors. The internal orange and white corresponds to white and orange outside. First I have to name the edges to make it easier to know where they have to go. On the left side, in this orientation with yellow on top, blue front and red right side, I will name the top left one A, and the second one B, the third one C, this one C, and the fourth one D in the back, this one. So A, B, C and D. On the back side it's E, F and G. The G one is the green white one in the bottom. The two on the front is H and I. So left side A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H and I. And remember, when you have to use the algorithms, you can hold this cube in 3 different orientations. You can do X, Y. You have a new orientation, the same edges on top, front and right side. And again, which one to make it most easy to use to solve the cube. There are algorithms to swap 2 pieces, and there are algorithms to cycle 3 or more pieces in rotation. I'll start to show the swap algorithms. The first one swaps B and C, and at the same time F and G. So this one and this one, this one, this one will be swapped at the same time. This algorithm is very useful in any other rotating algorithm, so you have to learn at least this one. The algorithm goes like R, U prime, R prime, U, F, R prime, F prime, R, U, F prime, U prime, F. Now the orange and white is moved from the bottom, from C to B, and the orange blue is in the bottom at C place. The same goes for this F and G spot. This cycling algorithm is very useful, so this one you should learn. R, U prime, R prime, U, F, R prime, F prime, R, U, F prime, U prime, F. Back to start. The next algorithm swaps B and D and I and G at the same time. So the one in the front and the opposite side, the one in front and the opposite side. This algorithm goes like this: U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R2, U, R. Those two are swapped with the one in the back and the one in the spot of G. U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R2, U, R. Now the pieces are in the right position, but they are flipped. So no longer the blue on the front, but the orange on the front. I have to flip those pieces at this last step. The third algorithm is to swap B and I, and at the same time H and G. So B, I, H, and D will be swapped with this algorithm. It goes like R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R, U, R, U, D, U prime, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R, U, R, and D prime. Now the orange and blue is down at the bottom at place I, and the blue and white is placed at B, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. And at the same time, this one is swapped with H on the bottom. Now there's actually a lot of algorithms how to cycle pieces around the cube, but if you learn those 3 cycle moves, it's very easy to just think as chains. You can move around and put the pieces in the right places. It may not be the most efficient way to solve the cube, but it's very intuitive to do like this. The first cycle I'll show you is the equator cycle. It cycles B and F and D pieces. So this one, orange and green, will be swapped, will rotate in the clockwise direction to this position, and this one will come over here to this position. The algorithm goes like R prime, U prime, R2, U, B, U, L, F2, L prime, B prime. The orange and green edge is now changed from this position to B, and B in the F position, and F in D. You can do this just the clockwise direction, counterclockwise direction, or you can reverse the algorithm. For the sake of easiness, I'll just advise you to do the clockwise. If you want to do the other way, you can just rotate the cube and do like the mirror algorithm. The next algorithm is to cycle the 3 edges, as named A, B, and C. They will be rotated in the cycle inside and outside this side. There are also a back rotation with E and F and G. So the 3 rotations algorithm rotates the equator, this 3 ABC and EFG. Those 2 pieces is not included in any of those rotations, but if I just change the orientation of the cube, the piece named I is now F, and now F can be in any rotations. So you have to just change the orientation of the cube, and any piece can be in any rotation. The rotation for the left, if you have to rotate clockwise, then you have to use the swapping algorithm twice with a little twist. It goes like this: R, U prime, R prime, U, F, R prime, F prime, R, U, F prime, U prime, F. And if you have to rotate the clockwise, you now have to do L. Then do the algorithm once more. And then L prime. Now this 3 pieces has been changed from ABC to BCA. You can do the same on the back side. The algorithm is the same, but instead of doing an L, you're just doing B prime. I'll show you. I have to change E to F, F to G, G to F. Swapping algorithm once, and then you have to do a B prime. Then do the algorithm once more. And D. Now the back has been rotated. When you have to place the edges in the first place, those two has to be placed first, because when you have to rotate, you can rotate the back right pieces, E, F, G, and you can rotate A, B, C, and G, the edge G in the equation rotations, but not H and I. So start solving the edges by placing those two edges in the right position, and when they're in the right position, you can just hold the cube in this orientation and rotate the rest in the right spot. So at first you have to maybe move the red white piece from here up to here, and maybe you have to move the blue and white from equator, from this position to this position, and then you can rotate the cube back to the original position and rotate the other pieces to the right spot. Step 4 of solving this cube is flipping the edges of the internal 3x3 cube. The edges are now in the right position, and now you have to flip them so that the right color corresponds to the 2x2 cube. Orange and yellow should be yellow on top, and the green yellow should be yellow on top too. There are 3 algorithms to flip edges. Actually only 2, but one is just the mirror version of the second. Anyway, I'll start with the first flipping algorithm. It flips the edges called B and D and I and G. This is the same algorithm as swapping those edges. But if you do the algorithm twice in a row, you will flip the edges. So you have to swap the pieces to the back and swap the pieces back again, and then they will be flipped. So it's the same algorithm as BDIG swap. It goes like this: U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R2, U, R. Then do it once again: U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R2, U, R. Now those two pieces are flipped, and the I and G are flipped too, but I don't care about the IG. I'll talk about that later. At first I just have to flip as many edges I possibly can. So I have 2 on the top, but how to get the top edges on the front? I can do my cube rotation to change the direction of the cube orientation, and now I can use the same algorithm to flip those 2 pieces. U, R, U2, and do it once more. Now those 2 pieces are flipped too. I don't know if the pieces are flipped inside, so I have to look inside. A, B, C is flipped, and G is flipped. E, F, G. So all of the edges are now flipped. There are 2 more algorithms to flip the edges of pieces. The first algorithm is to flip D and F, the opposite edges, and the next one is B and D. It's the same algorithm, just mirrored. If I have to swap those 2 first, B and D, I have to rotate the cube and do L, U, L prime, U prime, L prime, U prime, L. Then U2, L, U, L, U, L prime, U prime, L. This algorithm has to be done 3 times. It cycles 3 different edges, but in the meantime it swaps the 2 I have to swap. So I'll do it 2 more times. LU, L prime, L prime, L prime, L prime, N prime, U2, LU, LU, L prime, U prime, L. And the last time, and rotating back. Now I have I have flipped this edge, and I have flipped this edge too. If I have to flip those 2 edges, it's the same algorithm as before. I just mirror the algorithm to this position. So if I want to flip D and F, I have to do R prime, U prime, R, U, R, U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R, U, R. 3 times. Now I have flipped those 2 edges, the F and the D inside. The last section of this video, I'll tell a little bit about the strategy to solve the cube. First of all, you have to twist and turn the cube just to make it a cube shape. Second, you have to rotate the L corners to match, or swap the 2 top L corners to match, so the colors correspond to the sides of the 2x2 cube. Step 3 of solving the cube is rotating those edges. At first, I thought it was very difficult to understand how to do. But if you think of a bike with a chain, you can see this chain is rotating these 3 edges inside these 2 blocks. And on the back side, EFG is just rotating inside these 2 blocks. So those blocks just never touch this block. And the only way you can rotate the D edge is to use equator. If you want to rotate otherwise, you can always change the orientation of the cube and just rename the edges A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on. As told before, the first thing I recommend to do is to place the blue and white and the red and white edge. No matter what direction or orientation the cube is in, just make sure that you have to place this 2 at first, because when they are in place, this orientation can be used for the rest of the cube, and you can use a lot of different algorithms to rotate every piece, and you have a cycle of 5 piece movement. But first of all, it's very difficult to remember. Second of all, it's just complicating the case. The most easy way is to think about this bike chain of 3 that intersects with each other. So rotate the 3 pieces, and this 3 pieces and the equator. Those 2 pieces will never be in the chains. So if they are placed at first, you can just use this 3 algorithm to place the rest. When you have to flip the edges, it can be difficult if there are 2 edges that are opposite to each other. If it's not those 2 in front, and I and G, or B and D, or D and F, and if no cube orientation can make up for that, you have to move the pieces around to be in one of those positions, flip the edges you have to flip, and then undo the setup moves. I'll show some of those in example solves in the next video. So basically, when you have to flip the edges at last, you have to place the edges you have to flip as many edges as you can in the beginning. When you are down to only 2 edges left to flip, you have to place them in D and B orientation or D and F, and you can use any orientation of the cube to place those edges in here. When you have swapped or rotated the pieces to those positions, make the flip and undo this setup move. Now I will make an example solve and just scramble the cube and try to solve it as simple as I can. Now the cube is scrambled, and I really don't know how I did it, so I can undo the moves I just did. So now I have to just turn and twist to find a square in the bottom and then make the top flat as well. So I'll hold on to these 2 cubes and try to see if other cubes fits in this spot. Now I managed to make a square at the bottom of the cube. Now I have to try to make the top a familiar shape as shown in the step 1. Whoops, this one I know. Still got the square in the bottom. This one is called the gun. I remember the gun has to align on the top and be on the edge. And now I do have a square. This block, the orange and green and white, is opposite the center block, yellow, blue and red. So now I'll hold my fingers at these 2 points to orientate the cube in any direction I have to flip or switch some of the L corners and the big blocks. When you build the cube, you have to build it around this big block, or else you can end up with parity. This block is in the right position, and this one is in the right position too. But the blue and orange and white should be over here. So I have to swap this 2 and this 2 and this 2 again. I'll start swapping those 2. Then I have to change the orientation of the cube to make the next swap. Now the front is those 2 are swapped again. Back to the beginning, and I have to swap those 2 at last. So this one is moved up to here and down to this position. Now the big blocks are in place, and this one is always in place. I now look at the L corners. This one is placed too, so I have to swap those corners. I have to reorient my cube, so those 2 are on the top. Just by turning in this direction, I can do it very easily. Now I have placed the 4 blocks on the back in the right position. They have been swapped and swapped. This L corner is in the right place, so I have to look at the 2 other L pieces. They're not in the right place, so I have to swap those 2. The swapping algorithm I showed before was U, R, U2, R, U prime, F prime, U prime, F, R, U prime, R prime, U, F, U2 prime, F, U2, F, R prime, F, R. Those edges are now swapped, and I'm moving on to step 3 of solving the cube. Now I have to place the edges in the right position. The blue and white has to be in this position. It already is. I'm very happy. And now the red and white has to be in this position. I'll check where it is located. A, B, C. Yep, it's in the position of C. And has the position C has to go to position H. I do not have an algorithm to swap those two, so I have to orient the cube in a different way. My C now becomes a D, and my H now becomes a B, and I have an algorithm to swap B and D. The algorithm to swap B and D also swaps those two, but I and G I don't care about yet. I just have to place the blue and white and red and white in those positions at first. And the algorithm goes like this. U, R, U2, R prime, U prime, R prime, U prime, R2, U, R. Now the red edge is in the right position, but not is flipped incorrectly, but that's step 4. The blue and orange has to be in this place, so the blue and orange is already in the right cycle of the left side. The green and orange has to be in the back, so I can move this to the back with the equator rotation at a later point. This one is in the right cycle on the left side. Red and green is not in the right cycle, so I have to put the red and green up to equator to move it over to the back cycle, so I can move it around with these 3 blocks. The way to move this one up is rotating this 3 cycle in an anti-clockwise manner. Is done by starting with the L, then do this swapping algorithm. L prime, and then do the L algorithm once more. Now the blue and green, now the red and green are in the right equator position, so I have to move it over here to be in this cycle, the back cycle, EFG. Move this one to this place is just done by rotating the equator once. But before I do it, I can see this edge piece, white and orange, doesn't belong in this rotation, so this piece has to be over here. So when I rotate this two will be placed at these positions. This one is going to be right, this one is not, but I can move it all over here with the equator algorithm again. Equator is counterclockwise. This piece is now in the right cycle. Orange and yellow has to be over here, so this one has to be moved by equator to this cycle. So I have to move this one down to equator. This is done by using the swapping algorithm and do a B prime, do the algorithm once more, and B. Now this piece can be moved into this position. This one is green and yellow, and those have to be swapped. I can do that by just rotating this one into this place then with this B will become D, and I can do it one more time, and D will become F. First, I have to rotate clockwise. I'll do the mirror version of the cycle. Orange and white has to be in this position, so orange and white has to be in this cycle too. But yellow and orange has to be in this cycle too, so this one has to be moved out of the place. The blue and orange is already in the right cycle, so these two are in the right place, B and C. I need to switch this D piece, this piece who belongs to D, I need to switch it down to this place. The clockwise cycle in the left side is done by prime U. Oops. The swapping algorithm and L. Do the algorithm once more. L prime. This piece now has moved down to this spot and can be moved by equator to the D spot. This one is the right cycle. This piece is in the right cycle. I just need this one to be in this cycle too. So I do the I do the clockwise equator. Now, this piece is in the right position. I check A, B, and C. A belongs to this position, B belongs down here, and C belongs to the top. So every ABC is in the right cycle. Now I have E, F, G. E belongs to the bottom, F belongs to the top, E, and the G, red and green, belongs to F. So I can rotate these three pieces clockwise, counterclockwise, this way, by doing B prime at first and do the swapping algorithm. And B, do the algorithm once more. So now E, F, G edges are in the right position. Now I have to move A, B, C into the right position. A have to move to B and B have to move to C. So I'll just do the swapping algorithm once and do an L, do the algorithm once more, and L prime. Now A, B, C is in the right spot, E, F, G is in the right spot, blue and red are in the right spot from the beginning, and this one is in the right spot. Now I have to flip the edges. I'll flip as many as possible with the algorithms I already know. I can flip those two, or I can flip B and D, or F and D. Right now D is flipped, and I cannot find any piece that needs flipping in this position or this position, so I have to reorient my cube. Now this one can be flipped with the F and D algorithm. I don't care if this one needs to be flipped, but it does, so I'll just do the F algorithm. I have to look F and D, R prime, U prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, U2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and this one has to be done 3 times. R prime, U prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, U2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and once more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This edge F is now flipped, and the G1 is flipped as well. Now I need those two, but do I need any more? I need A is okay, B is not okay, C is okay, D is okay, E is not okay, F and G is okay. So now I just need those two edges to be flipped. My strategy is now, it could be many, but I think I'll just move this piece E to F spot, then use the equator to rotate clockwise or counterclockwise, do the flipping algorithm, undo the setup move, and move the piece back to the top. So first I have to move E to F. I just do it by the swapping algorithm and B prime. Do the swapping algorithm once more. So now the two edges who have to be swapped is in B and D position, B and F position. Now I'll just rotate the equator to put one of those in D position. I think I'll just do it the counterclockwise. So my setup moves has now placed those two edges who has to be swapped in this position. I use the DF swapping algorithm. Three times. Now I know those are swapped, and I have to undo my setup move. I have to rotate equator counterclockwise, clockwise. I just do the mirror. And the last step, I have to move this back cycle in place. The white and red belongs to the top belongs to the bottom belongs to F place. I see this one is red and blue in the bottom, blue and white. So now I just undo the rotation on the back by doing this way clockwise, I think. B prime, do the swapping algorithm twice, and D again, do the swapping algorithm once more. And now the back has made a cycle and every piece is now flipped. I'll just check. A, B, C is okay. D is okay too. E, F, G are okay. H, I are okay. Now I'll do one more example solve just to show how I do it. I have to scramble the cube first, and it's just randomly scrambled. I have no intention of remember this. I think it's okay. I have to twist and turn the cube until I find the cube shape, or at least a square in the bottom somehow. Now I've got a square in the bottom. I just check how the top looks like. Maybe not, but if I make this one a square too, I once again find this known edge, known figure, so I know this one is a gun. And now I have my square. I start building the cube around this piece, because if I don't, I may end up with parity. The blue and orange white belongs in this position, so I hold the cube in big blocks in the left and front and the bottom. I have to swap those two pieces. Stun. In this way. Now every big block is in the right position. This L block is in the wrong right position, but those has to be swapped. Now I change the orientation of the cube to have edges on top, front and right side. Now I have to swap those L corners. Now I have to place the blue and white and red and white in the right position for a start. The white and red is in the back position called D. I have to move this one over to H position. Can this one be done in one move? Now I have changed the orientation. Now the D becomes a C. And I have to move it over to this position, E. What about this one? Now it's position G, E, F, G. It's down at the bottom here. I want it to go to this position. I think I'll just stop rotating or orientating my cube and make the counterclockwise or this rotation of the back cycle here to make it go to the equator rotation and then put it in this position afterwards. I use the swapping algorithm. I don't have to do this one because I don't care about any other pieces than this one. So I just have to swap those two. This can be done by using the swapping algorithm. And now I have to use the counterclockwise, the clockwise equator algorithm to move it into this position. This was a white piece. Now I can look and search for the blue and white. It's in this position. And this one has to go, if it's called A, it has to go to the I position. I think it could be, what could I do? I could put it in this position and then swap those two on the top. Or I could move the red and white to the bottom of this rotation and use the equator to put it over here and then rotate both of the pieces up on top. I think I'll do that one. So the red one has to be swapped to the bottom. Now I care about this one. So I have to make sure this one stays put. So I have to make a clockwise rotation of the ABC. Swapping algorithm, and I have to do this L move and do the swapping algorithm once more. Now this one is still in the right place, the blue and white. Now I can rotate clockwise the equator. And the blue piece in the right position and the red and white is in the bottom. I just have to do an anti-clockwise rotation of ABC to get those two pieces in the red and blue position. To make them turn anti-clockwise, I have to do an L move first, and then do the swapping algorithm, and then L prime move and do the swapping algorithm once more. Now the pieces are in place. I can orient my cube where those two are in the bottom and doesn't get affected by ABC rotation or EFG rotation or the equator rotation. So now I can move every piece around the cube with those three algorithms to place it in the right position. This one, blue and green, this one, red and green, has to be moved in this to this position, and in the bottom is orange and yellow, so I have to find the two missing pieces to this side. The green and white is over here. I have to move it into this cycle in the back. The orange and green has to be placed in D at last, so first I'll just swap those two to get this one in this cycle, in the back cycle. To make it clockwise rotation of ABC, I just do the swapping algorithm once, make an L, do the swapping algorithm again, and now the white and green is ready to be rotated by equator to F position. My bonus is this piece belongs in this rotation over here, so this can be moved to G and next time can move to B. Equator, anti-clockwise. Whoops, wrong algorithm. Green and white is rotated from B to F. Now I got two of the three back cycles pieces in the right position, or in the right cycle. The last one, the D, I have to move to this cycle. So I will move this D's edge up to this position and use equator to rotate it back into position. Anti-clockwise rotation of the back cycle, I have to do a B prime first. And then a B, do the swapping algorithm once more. And now the yellow and orange can be rotated to D and B afterwards. The green and yellow piece belongs to this cycle, so if I just cycle these two pieces, they will be in the right spot. Or I could actually swap the C piece and this one, because then this one will become D and the D will become this, and if I rotate anti-clockwise twice with the equator algorithm, every piece will be in the right position. So I have to swap those two. I will do it by rotating this cycle anti-clockwise. I have to start with an L move and use the swapping algorithm and L prime, do the swapping algorithm once more. And now I can rotate this piece to this position and this piece to this position by doing the clockwise equator. The green and yellow doesn't belong in this position, in this rotation, so I have to move this down to equator to get this one in the right place, and orange green needs to be in this place G, so this one has to go there, and then use anti-clockwise equator, and every piece is now in the right spot. ABC has to be rotated. Swapping algorithm followed by L and L prime to finish off. Now this one is the last move I have to do to rotate these 3 pieces into the right position. Equator clockwise. Orange white belongs in the bottom, yellow orange belongs in the top, and blue orange belongs in the middle. So I have to rotate this ABC pieces anti-clockwise. Start with L and once more do the swapping algorithm, then L prime, do the swapping algorithm once more, and so now the pieces are in the right position. Green white belongs to the bottom, green and yellow belongs to the top, so I have to anti-rotate this back cycle too. I start with B prime, and once more. Now every piece is in the right position. A, B, C, and D, E, F, G. Now I have to flip as many pieces as possible until I'm left with 2 that has to be swapped. A, B, and C need to be swapped, and D need to be swapped. E, F, G is okay, and H. In this orientation, I cannot use any of my algorithms wisely, so I have to reorient my cube to see if any new comes up. Now I can swap B and D, but D is already in the right position. So maybe I'll just rotate once more, orient once more, and now my B needs to be swapped, flipped, and so does my D. So now I can use the B and D algorithm to swap those 2. The B and D algorithm is a mirror version of the other, so I have to do this algorithm twice. 1, 2, 3. Those edges are now flipped in the right position. At last I check A, B, and C is okay, D is okay, E, F, G is not okay. So I have to swap G and H. I have no algorithm to swap those 2, so I have to reorient my cube again to see if anything comes up. In this orientation, the D needs to be swapped. That's a good spot because I have algorithms to swap the D. This one has to be in F or B position, so I'll just rotate this back rotation downwards, so E becomes F, then flip, then rotate back, and I'm done. To rotate this piece into this position, is done by the swapping algorithm twice. Now I have to flip those, and flipping D and F is R prime, U prime, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, U2, 1, 2, 3, 4, U2, and now the last step, I have to undo my setup move. The B piece, the F piece has to be in the top, and I have to do this rotation, anti-clockwise or whatever. So now I'll start with the B prime, Do the swapping algorithm. Do the B. Do the swapping algorithm once more. And now those are flipped too. A, B, C is okay, and D is okay. E, F, G